Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to do a basic KSP tutorial because some people have it in their library and don't really know how to play it. Uh, like my brother and my friends. So what I'm gonna do is a basic tutorial guiding you through all the things you can do in KSP. So I'm not going to use any DLC parts for this because not everyone has has the DLCs. But we can start by naming a rocket up here. You can name it Basic Orbital Craft. Oh, it's not typing. Basic Orbital Craft. It gets to orbit and back. Okay. Now to start this out, we're gonna need a Mark 1 command pod. Actually, before that, I'm gonna guide you through these things. So if you hover over this, it should say what they're the names. So here is pods. So this is where like your crew is going to sit. Or you can get other things like this one has more crew. But we're gonna stick with one for now. And I'm not gonna use this one because this is a DLC part. So we're gonna use this. Mark 16 parachute. So that's down in utilities. Should be all the way to the bottom. Here, I'll guide you through it. So these are pods, fuel tanks, self-explanatory, where you keep your fuel that your engines use. Then engines, these use up your fuel. You will have less engines than me, but that's only because I got the DLCs. It's fine. Command and control, so this is like, it allows you to control things better, like reaction wheels. These are the largest ones. These are smaller ones, made for things like this. This is for super tiny crafts. And you also have RCS, which are like mini thrusters that change the direction of your thing. Then you have structural. This is where you just build stuff. Like it doesn't serve too many purposes. Like it's just empty weight, but you can use it like as armor or something. You could create like things out of it. You'll see these are all DLCs though. But these don't have fuel or anything. Like for example, take this Mark III engine mount. This is like for shuttles, I think. You can just mount 3 engines on there. Then you have robotics, which you probably won't have if you don't get the Breaking Ground DLC. Or actually, you will not have. Unless you find some way to get cracked DLCs. Which you probably won't. And then, coupling. This is very important. This is what splits your rocket. So if you have any excess mass, these couplers will activate. You can see them in staging down here. And they basically explode, but they have tiny explosives that like separate the connections between your rocket. And take for example, if there is a fuel, if there's some fuel down here, it's too big. Let's just use a small fuel tank. You have some fuel down here, and you do this, and then you put your engine, whatever. Like let's use a swivel. This engine will not be able to use up this fuel because of the decoupler. And then you have radial decouplers, which are the same things, except they're mounted on the sides. You have ones that are like this, normal ones. Then you have ones that are a little spaced out for bigger rockets. This is just also for bigger rockets. It's called a hydraulic detachment manifold. It's the same thing. It works like the same way, except it's just bigger. I've already tried it. This is cargo, so you have like these things here, these shells that protect stuff. Like for example, if you have a mini satellite on your rocket ship, but it takes out your aerodynamics, you want to encase it in something. That's what this Airstream protective shell does. So you can get more aerodynamics while containing something. These are aerodynamics. I've already went through these in my other videos. This is like, I use this a lot, this tab here. And yeah, there isn't much stuff you can do here, except for like wings and intakes, nose cones. And then for ground, it's wheels. These are for rovers. Although you need a pretty big rover to use this one. This one is fine. Yeah, you need a big rover for this. This one's the tiny one, standard. Then you have another one, which is this one. These ones are like rubbery, bouncy, I guess. Could say. All of them has suspension, so you don't need to worry about that. This is also very important, thermal. So when you're, let's say you're in your orbital craft, you got to orbit, and then you want to come back, your pod is going to, or anything is going to experience orbital re-entry. This is due to the friction in the air, I think. The friction of just particles slapping on your thing. It's really fast. I'm pretty sure it's friction. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, there's very hot gases. This thing is made of a special material that, like, it doesn't melt or it doesn't break or anything. That's why it's useful. So I'm gonna just keep that there. Hold on for a second. Okay, this is electrical. This is where you have like photovoltaic panels. These are like mini solar panels. Here's another one, except this one actually unfolds like that. And then you have these rechargeable batteries. There is this one which you can mount on the bottom, kind of like a decoupler. And then these ones are radially mounted. You have a PB Nook radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which is basically like it generates electricity off the radioactivity of plutonium and uranium. Although in this game it's like called plutonium 238. So yeah. Hold on, I'll be back for a second. Okay, all good. Communications. These are like relay, these are like antennas. So if you're far out on planets, like for example Eve or Jewel, and you can't like store your experiments because they're like too large, or you just don't want to risk it, these things will send the experiments back. Although you get less science, but that's for a different story. Then this is what actually does the experiments in here. There are many different science modules, like thermometer, thermometer, just, it's a thermometer, like, it just measures the temperature of planets and stuff. And then this measures the atmospheric fluid, is like, how much liquids are in the atmosphere. This thing, that thing, I'm pretty sure those are breaking ground. Yeah, those are breaking ground. This one is a mod that I have. It's called Kerbal Engineer Redux. This one's also a mod. But yeah, this one just helps me make rockets. You don't need it, but I would recommend it. These are cargo. Ooh, I'm not gonna get into this because breaking ground. And these you will have normally. These drills, you will have them. These convertitrons, you will have them too. They like Yeah. I think they just take ore and stuff, turn it into fuel. So, now that we went through all that, I'm gonna show you how to make the craft. So you want to get into fuel tanks. Actually no, you want to go to coupling, get a TD12 decoupler. The name, it says there, so this is a 1.25 meter decoupler because this is 1.25 meters. Like the bottom is 1.25 meters across, so it says here. And then TD 8 is 1.8 meters across. This is for 2.5 meters across, like tanks like this. Although this is not the biggest tank, but we won't have to worry about that. So you want to get a... By the way, I'm not doing this, like this is going to be a little advanced, like I don't recommend trying to build this in science mode or career mode. This is just when you get into sandbox mode. This is what you want to do to get to orbit. You want to build something like this. And you want to find the Terrier engine and just stick it on the bottom. I'm going to make it truss mount because I like it like this. Also, I'm gonna remove it and add in some extra fuel tanks. These are not, you don't need these. These don't have external tanks, but these pretty much just give you a little extra fuel for a little smaller space. Actually, this won't go well with the truss mount, so I'm gonna do bare. Then we're gonna use the move tool. It's just over here beside this thing that's moving. It's right there. You want to click on this, hold down shift, take the green arrow and drag it upwards. All the way to your engine's like, you can see it's green outline, so it's not touching it yet. Just want to drag it up more. There you go, now it's touching the thing. You're good. You gotta go to place, which is your normal one. And that's the bottom stage complete. Or the top stage. Then you want to get another TD12 decoupler, put it right there, and there you go. That's the part that's going to get to orbit. But now you need something to carry it into space, because if you didn't know, that engine is not good at ASL, the atmosphere. So you want to get a fuel tank like this, put a swivel. Actually no. Get another fuel tank, two of these large FLT1 T800 fuel tanks, and then a swivel all the way down here, and that's it. That's the rocket, but we need boosters, like, to help us go a little faster. What's gonna happen is we're gonna go to coupling. We're gonna get a TT38K radial decoupler. This is like the stack decouplers, or the decouplers, normal ones, except it's radially attached, so it can be attached on the sides of the rocket. Then you'll press X about 4 times to get this, or you can click down here in the symmetry. Toggle snap, make sure you have it on, but you can press C if it's not on. That's the one. And then R is for mirroring. And then this, so R, if you click R, it's symmetry mirror. So if you see that, it's called symmetry mirror for airplanes. And then this is radial, so this is for rockets. So I'm just gonna attach 4 of these now. I have 4 of them on. Now I'm gonna go to engines, get a where is it? Get a flea solid fuel booster. Just put that down there. You don't need to worry about anything else. And then go to aerodynamics. Get an aerodynamic nose cone. Just this one. It's it doesn't have anything else, just this. That's it. That's your rocket. Now you just gotta stage it. So if you hover over the parts of the stage, like this, for example, my cursor's over here, like this one, it'll highlight the part in green. So this one, we want it to activate the same time as these 4 boosters. And then these decouplers, after these solid boosters are spent, you can press space again. If you didn't know, space to activate that one stage. You press space again to move away to decouple them out. Like, the decouplers basically just detach them from the rocket. And this, after these two main things are spent, this is basically this but sideways, horizontally. So this is to activate that final stage. And then this is for the engine. I guess we can do that. And then this is to decouple that. You want to right click your parachute, put altitude to 1500. This decoupler will just decouple the pod, make it alone, because you don't want this, you don't want any excess mass. And the heat shield should not be under the decoupler, otherwise it decouples that. You can jettison the heat shield. I'll show you how to do that after the orbit. And then you have this. You could set this to altitude 1500. You don't need to, but it's better. It makes it safe, so you don't crash. I'm gonna actually set it to 2000, so I don't crash. There's less risk, but it does take longer to land. So I'm gonna go to the normal launch pad, so it's right out there instead of the desert. And we're gonna launch. Now, right away, your rocket should be on this launch pad, look right, just like this, but you don't need to touch anything yet. So D, if you face this way to the side, the way the flag is, this is the right position. Don't hold down shift, because that's your throttle. Shift is to raise the throttle of your liquid engines, and control is to lower it. These solid fuel boosters actually cannot be turned off or throttled at all. So yeah, I'll face this way, and then the controls are corresponding. Like, W makes you go this way, like that way. S makes you go that way towards there. W makes you go towards D makes you go towards the ocean. A towards the VAB. So we're gonna use D to go towards the ocean and slowly tilt. Okay, wanna pump up your throttle to about this much, and then you wanna press space. After you've hit 30 meters a second, you wanna start slowly tilting this way. At 10,000 meters, you should be at 45 degrees. Okay, now that's run out. We max out our throttle by pressing Z and decouple these. I'm gonna lower this throttle a little bit down so I don't have to fight against the air. But you can see that we're going fast. So it's my mistake, I didn't put fins on here. But we won't need that too much, except for like turning stuff, because we have a vectoring engine if you use swivel instead of Reliant, which is probably something good. You don't want to use Reliant. Yeah, press M to go to your map, and you can see if you hover over here, your apoapsis is the highest point in your trajectory, so it's at 11,000 meters. That's completely fine. You just want to, oh, looks like the what's it called, boosters crashed. But that's fine if you hear explosions. Here's your nav ball, which I'm using to guide this little dot to where I want it to be. You could use reaction wheels to help stabilize your rocket, or you could just add fins, which I sure probably did, but you know, my mistake. Sorry about that. You should probably add fins. I'll show you after this orbit which one. I'll teach you about Delta V and TWR. Sounds complicated, but it's not. You just want to keep going. Now you want to do full throttle. This will burn up your fuel very fast. but that's fine. Okay, now once you start seeing this stuff on your rocket, it'll lower your throttle a lot, like down here. And this other bar, you don't need to focus on that. It's just G-forces, so try not to let it go to red. G-forces, like, it's gravity. I'm sure you know what G-force is. If you don't, you could go look it up, because I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry, but I don't. So I have these on my map, like Island Airfield and stuff. That's because I have these are extra ones from the DLCs, but you won't have those. I'm pretty sure you won't have them. I'm not sure. If you do, it's fine. You don't need to interact with them. This green line shows the communication, so like satellites and stuff between your thing. So that's not your trajectory or anything. You don't need to focus on that. So now our apoapsis is about 75,000 feet. We're gonna stop here. We're gonna go prograde. So we're gonna click prograde on here. This little one under stability assist, which should be the green one at first. Then you just wanna wait till you get sort of close. If I'm not gonna do maneuvers right now because it's a little more advanced, but you just click on the prograde down there. Prograde basically makes your rocket face the trajectory. So my trajectory is this way. It's going like this, so my rocket's facing like that. And not like this. So at this point you want to start pumping up your throttle all the way to max. So your fuel is burned. Just wait a little bit. Detach your stage. Click X. So now we have this one stage. That's completely fine. Now you just want to turn on your engine at this point. So this says T minus 40 seconds, so that means you'll get to your rocket ship will be on the apoapsis in 39 seconds, or how much it says. For you it might say minutes or seconds, but with this engine you'd probably want to do about 1 minute. Oh, if it's far like that, you just want to scroll away because it's completely normal. You didn't mess anything up. Now you want to turn off your thrust and just wait till you're near this again. You can see this line trajectory is getting wider. That's what's supposed to happen. When this line goes all the way around the Earth, then you know that you've completed the orbit. Okay, now we press Z because we're so close to the apoapsis. And at the apoapsis is when your orbit engine or your engine thing is most efficient. And if you cross the apoapsis, just aim your thing a little bit higher so the apoapsis goes a little farther. Okay, now go to prograde. See the line increasing, just click X once again to zero out your throttle. T54 seconds is just, you can press, if you go up here, you can see the time warp. They have keybinds, but it's like the little two arrows beside your question mark button. So the forward one is respectively forward. Backwards is backwards. You can see there. But don't use these. We're not going to use them now because this is like for very hard things. Or like going to Mars or the moon or Minmus. You don't want to wait out there for hours. So at this point you should just start using your engine once again. If your apoapsis is moving away, that's fine. Just wait. Okay. You should see a periapsis now. Periapsis is the lowest point in your orbit. And now that we have a periapsis of 82,000 meters, we have a orbit. And this is 88 meters, and this is 82,000 meters. So this is about almost perfect. You have your first successful orbit. Either enjoy the view, or, you know, come back. This is where you would usually do your science. So like you could EVA, but you probably shouldn't, because that's when your Kerbal gets out of the craft. So after you've reached the apoapsis, you just want to click retrograde now, which is beside prograde. Just click on that, and it's the opposite. So now it's the opposite. So if you burn this way, it'll make your orbit smaller. So this is where you could time warp now. Just click 5 times time. If that's not fast, then just click 50 times time. And then keep your hands on the 1 times time warp. Because you want to stop at that point. You shouldn't go faster, because I do that mistake all the time and it's not good. So go retrograde once again. Then go burn. So you can see our trajectory is we're currently going to land in the ocean, but due to re-entry, it'll slow us down. We'll probably land somewhere in the desert. So just press space again now. You don't need that stage anymore. You can turn off SAS, or you can just click retrograde. So this is where I'm going now. Now you could time warp some more, just as much as you need. Okay, so once it automatically stops the time warp once you get close to the atmosphere. Okay, this is the really exhilarating part. Like, this is where I shake a lot, but you will be fine if you do this correctly. You could just time warp though. Once you get into the atmosphere, most of the options will be gone, and you'll only have up to 1 to 4 times time. So in this, time warp is different because you can move your craft and such like this, but you probably shouldn't. It's the same controls as the other one. Also, here's something: beware the Kraken. The Kraken is basically if you have a large ship and you use time warp, it'll freak out. So here you can see the atmospheric re-entry, particle effects. It's very hot gases. This is exactly why you need the heat shield. It protects you from these gases. It redirects them away from you, and it's also hard to melt. Nothing will happen to your heat shield. It's very good. This ablator thing, I don't usually worry about it. Like, I don't do anything about it. But yeah, this is completely fine. You don't want to enter in too steep. I'm pretty sure that would like go really hot. It would give you extremely hot things. But you just want to wait. And your speed is decreasing. And you can time warp now. You can actually time warp to get out of this faster. So I didn't enter it in that steep, so actually I'm going to be in this re-entry stage for quite a while. But it goes away, and this comes. So at this point, you want to, once you reach 10,000 meters, is when you want to arm your parachute. So just want to click space again. Your parachute is half deployed. That's fine, just don't do anything right there. This is where the 2,000 meter altitude is going to come in handy. So when it reaches 2,000 meters altitude in ground, it'll deploy the parachute fully. This is at the point where you just want to wait. Or you could EVA, you could jump out of here. Well, you can't, but the Kerbals have a parachute. You could just use it to jump out. Okay, now that you've touched down, you could just hover over this thing here. Hold on, just turn off your time warp. You could just hover over this thing and press recover vessel. But before you do that, I want to tell you something. This is part of the mod that I have, Kerbal Engineer Redux. I also have Kerbal Kerbal Joints Continued, or I forgot its name, but basically it strengthens your joints so your rocket isn't wobbly. But if you build big rockets, they're most likely to be wobbly. That's why you have struts. So it's nighttime right now. We can time warp, make it daytime. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about Delta V and TWR. So now you made a successful orbit back with this rocket. You can just save this. And then remove this, just remove that. So Delta V is how much meters per second your rocket can achieve. So I'm going to grab this. Grab a small fuel tank, and I get a vector engine. So my rocket can go 1,954 meters per second. That's how much it can achieve. So you can actually see it happen. Okay, so surface. Look at the speed. And then look at the Delta V. The Delta V decreases while this increases. So I'm gonna turn this on and then proceed to full throttle. Just wait for all the Delta V to run out. Okay, your rocket will most likely tilt because it's not aerodynamic, but if you just kept this going and you were flying straight, the top speed you would achieve is your Delta V. So this is used in most maneuvers. And don't worry, this is a probe core, so there's no Kerbals inside it. It's actually just remotely manned. So it just got buried. But yeah, that's your Delta V. It could be used in maneuvers. Maneuvers take up Delta V, and it tells you how much Delta V you have left. So for example, if there's an orbit maneuver that took 200 meters per second of Delta V and you had 500, after the maneuver is complete, you'll have 300 Delta V left. And then there is a Delta V chart which tells you how much Delta V you need to reach every planet. And there's also this thing. This is the Delta V tool. This is engineer's report. You have this, and I'm pretty sure this is not a mod. You have parts, mass, how heavy, size, height, width, and length. So, and the messages, you don't need to know about this, nothing, this is just for science. And then this is the KSpedia. Tells you all about this stuff. So go to heat, parts and heat, there's stuff you can read here if you don't get it. But this is just a quick, well, not quick, but, thingy. This is breaking ground and making history. I could read that sometime. Now, TWR. TWR is thrust to weight ratio. So this means your thrust to weight ratio. For example, if I have a pod here, and then a really big tank. This is a big pod, by the way. This is like not the small one. This is the normal small one. And then I took a big engine here, like this one, big tank. I put a tiny engine on. Now, if your engine does not lift off, which it most likely won't because this is a very efficient but has less thrust engine type thing. So I'm going to put it at full throttle and then start it up. Yeah. So right now it's not lifting off at all because my thrust to weight ratio is 0. And this is too heavy. But if your thrust to weight ratio is too much, it'll be sort of like this situation. it'll be like this. Just get the biggest engine you have. And then it'll be like this. Obviously my fuel tank is small, so it didn't go that much. But I could do a better thing with the vector engines. These, for example, actually are very fast and have a lot of gimbal range. So it's like how much your engine turns. Yeah, you can see this this TWR of this rocket ship. It's probably not even a rocket ship. It's actually very, very high because this engine is too much for these tiny tanks. This engine is actually, you could use this in conjunction with something like this, possibly, maybe. You can put it right here. Oops, not there. Right there. Like that. And then it would be for this. But this is probably better with the Mastodon engines that you get from Breaking Ground. Or, I mean, from Making History. And this is also from Making History, this part right here. This adapter. But, yeah, you can just throttle up a little bit, and you can already see that it's like... This is like for big, this is for interplanetary ships. But the fuel is not draining that fast. But this TWR is medium. It's like it's good. This can get to orbit. Not this ship, but yeah, if it had more stuff, it can get to orbit. This ship it's too much low fuel. It's too low. Anyways, that's my tutorial on the basics of KSP. I hope you got it, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for this channel. Should be a gray bell after you subscribed, which should be a red button with the letter subscribe on it. Word. Yeah, please do that if you want more things like this, more tutorials. I can do more game tutorials. I have Garry's Mod and multiple other games I can do tutorials on. And if you just want to see some funny gameplay, you can also subscribe for that. But bye for now.